Alright, what is this? I've been linked this by my chat. Let's check this out. Tyler the Blunt Man, 2 days ago. Debunk number 2 that Lee couldn't overcome in the debate. His face though when it when he's hit with something he doesn't understand. Oh no. Oh, I can't hear it. Okay, hold on. I gotta make sure the audio levels are fine. Hopefully this doesn't destroy my
claim
eardrums.
that there is systemic racism because there is a 19% disparity. Your study says that you cannot suggest that it is discrimination because they do not have enough information to say that it could be discrimination. His own study.
That's not what it says. I know what this is referring to. This is referring to the United States Sentencing Commission 2017 study, I believe, where they found a 19-point-something% sentence disparity between white and black Americans. Now, there's the thing at the end of the thing, at the end of the what's it called? The research that says that this research by itself does not, what's it called, deductively prove the existence of racial bias within the jurors or whatever. It inductively proves it, but not deductively. And it is literally impossible to deductively prove the existence of a bias. So, because it is technically possible that there may be some shadow variable that wasn't accounted for. That's how multivariate regression analysis works. But it's very unlikely. But nevertheless, because they're intellectually honest, they will not say, this research 100% concludes that there is a 19 point whatever percent, racial bias in the jurors or the people who were sentencing these trials. That's the only thing. It's just like a small caveat that's saying it's not 100% the case. It's very likely, but there's no way to know for sure, because it may just be that every time those judges, had to rule on a case that involved a black person, they may have had a really bad day. They may have put, like water in their cereal instead of milk in the morning, and that might have put them in a bad mood. So they took it out over their, the defendants of their cases. I don't know. It's possible that may have been the case. So that's why they're saying that it doesn't deductively prove that there's racial bias, but it's very, very unlikely that there isn't. So this is a nice conflation, or I guess, I don't know what to say, like a mischaracterization of what they're actually trying to show with that, and a misunderstanding of the difference between deductively and inductively proving something and its value.
Telling him that he should not come to the conclusion he just came to, he's doing it anyway. Violent offenses, that is the largest disparity between white and black people. They are 40% more likely to get a higher conviction and a lengthier sentence because they have a public defender versus a private attorney. Black people are 2 times less likely.
Okay, the thing with I don't know why I talked about violent offenders. That was one of the specific variables they controlled for during this. After the 2013 or 2015, I don't remember what it was, they had like a previous version of the Booker report, during which they said that, oh, well, we didn't account for, like degree of violence. That may have had something to do with it. And at that point, all the conservatives were saying like, yeah, it's the violence. That must be what makes up this 20% disparity. They updated that in 2017 version, adjusted for violence of crime, and it had no statistical significant effect whatsoever on the degree of violence. I'm sorry, on the sentence disparity. So degree of violence, violent offense has nothing to do with this whatsoever. And on top of this, access to private and public lawyers, hey, guess what? That overlaps with other types of racial bias and systemic racism that may put black people in a position where they disproportionately cannot afford access to private lawyers. He's kind of proving, the opponent's points here by saying that.
Likely to be able to afford a private attorney. This study does not account for type of weapon used. If the weapon...
Type of weapon used... this guy at the bottom, he has my exact reaction. Type of weapon used? What? What? In like a... You would have to... This is one of the ones, where they just like invent a variable that may have had something to do with the case. If you want to make, a statement that there may have been a shadow variable that they didn't account for, what the responsibility on you then is to prove that, number one, that variable has an effect on cases. So you need to produce some form of evidence indicating that the type of weapon used has a significant effect on sentencing length. The second thing you'd have to do is prove that black people disproportionately use that type of weapon in order to further that point. Third thing, you would have to prove that black people disproportionately use that weapon to a degree that would account for a 19% disparity. And these are three things that they're, it's unable to do. They're unable to do. And, this is just another, I guess like a confounding shadow variable that you just, throw out of nowhere. And on top of this, like, how many different types of weapon? This is a super strange point.
Was legally versus illegally obtained don't take into account.
Well, that's a different sentence, isn't it? If the weapon was illegally or legally obtained, then that's going to be part of your sentence, right? If you kill someone with an illegal firearm, you're going to be charged for homicide and also for possession of an illegal firearm. And that will be considered because what these studies are doing is they're accounting for the same crime and similarly situated people. Another, pointless conjecture.
Intent or motivation. If you have a white guy that goes up and shoots another man, they go to trial.
I'm sorry, similarly situated and the same crime. Crimes are premeditated, have a harsher sentence, and are different different legal name for the crime, while the ones that are not premeditated are a different category of crimes. And the study measures the same type of crimes. Another thing that the study adjusts for that this person just throws out as a possible confounding variable. Oh, what happened now? TikTok, stop. Play it.
Couldn't come up with any type of motivation. Black guy does the exact same thing. When they're doing that trial, they find out this person that this black guy shot was the drunk driver who ran over this dude's child. This black guy's motivation was clearly different than this white guy, right?
Again,
your United States Sentencing Commission is the claim that there is systemic racism because there
is part of making a crime a different sentence name, a different type of crime. So therefore it's going to be adjusted for in the study, obviously.
The 19% disparity.
And also, even if that wasn't the case, they would have to prove evidence. The number one, the percentage effect that premeditation has on the crime, that black people disproportionately do premeditated crimes, and that the rate by which black people disproportionately commit premeditated crimes can make up for a 20% disparity, which that research doesn't exist.
Your study says that you cannot suggest that.
Okay, now it's looping again. Yeah, this is some of the worst rebuttal to systemic racism I've seen ever. Misunderstanding between being able to deductively prove racial bias and inductively prove it. The study says that it's impossible to deductively prove, which yes, it is impossible to deductively prove any type of bias. Second of all, he just throws a bunch of imagined variables that may have had something to do with influencing the case. Some of these variables have directly to do with systemic racism, like access to wealth and lawyers, some of which were accounted for, like premeditation of the crime, and some of which were completely irrelevant, like weapon used, stuff like that. And yeah, this is one of the worst rebuttals I've ever seen. Maybe you can do something better next time, Tyler the blunt man, or whatever your name was. That was awful. That was a bad meme.